If you are shopping for a modern three-row SUV, the sixth-generation Ford Explorer, spanning model years 2020 through 2025, is likely at the top of your list. And on paper, it deserves to be there. This generation marked a massive shift for Ford, returning the Explorer to a rear-wheel drive architecture. It promised better handling, stronger towing capacity, and a sportier driving feel that competitors like the Toyota Highlander or Honda Pilot just couldn't match. But there is a significant gap between what a vehicle promises on a spec sheet and how it performs in the real world. Since its debut in 2020, this generation of Explorer has been a roller coaster of reliability. We aren't just talking about minor annoyances like a glitchy radio. We are talking about critical transmission failures, engines that leak coolant internally, and safety recalls so severe that the rear axle literally disconnects while you drive. If you are looking at a used model, specifically one priced attractively around the $25,000 to $30,000 mark, you are likely looking at a 2020 or 2021 model year. And that is exactly where the danger lies. Today, we are conducting a complete buyer's guide for the 2020 to 2025 Ford Explorer. We are going to explain why the 2020 model year is a financial landmine you must avoid, the specific mechanical gremlins plaguing the 10-speed transmission, and whether the refreshed 2025 model has finally solved these problems or introduced new ones.
Got it?
Yep, slide it right there.
Perfect.
The apples, Mom.
Thanks, sweetie.
Afternoon, folks. Let me know if you'd like a closer look.
Welcome back to Adore Autos, where we help you buy used cars with confidence. To understand the reliability risks of a used Explorer, you have to understand the chaos of its birth. The sixth-generation Explorer launched for the 2020 model year, and frankly, it was one of the messiest vehicle launches in modern automotive history. The factory in Chicago struggled so much with quality control that Ford was shipping thousands of unfinished Explorers to a completely separate facility in Flat Rock, Michigan, just to fix defects before they could even be sent to dealers. We are talking about loose wiring harnesses, missing trim pieces, and software that wasn't finished. When you buy a used car, you are looking for a predictable cost of ownership. You want to know that your monthly payment is the only check you have to write. But with the early years of this generation, that predictability is non-existent. Data from Lemon law firms and consumer advocacy groups highlights a disturbing trend for the 2020 through 2023 models. The complaints aren't isolated, they are systemic. They center on the drivetrain, cooling system, and electrical architecture. While the platform itself is excellent, offering great space and driving dynamics, the execution left a lot to be desired. As we move through this guide, I'm going to break down the 3 major failure points you need to inspect before buying, and why the first-year rule has never been more relevant than it is with this SUV. Let's rip the Band-Aid off and talk about the 2020 model year. If you take nothing else away from this video, do not buy a 2020 Ford Explorer. The primary culprit is the 10-speed automatic transmission, known internally as the 10R80. While this transmission is used in the Mustang and the F-150 with success, the calibration and implementation in the 2020 Explorer were disastrous. Owners report a litany of symptoms. The most common is harsh, jerky shifting. You might be accelerating smoothly, and suddenly the car slams into gear so hard it feels like you've been rear-ended. Other times, it suffers from delayed engagement. You put the rotary dial into drive, press the gas, and the engine revs freely for 2 seconds before the transmission finally clunks into gear, chirping the tires and startling everyone in the car. According to legal defect summaries, these aren't just comfort issues. They are often signs of premature internal wear, valve body failures, or software that simply cannot adapt to the wear of the clutch packs. While Ford released software updates to relearn the shift points, many owners found themselves needing full transmission replacements well before the 60,000-mile powertrain warranty expired. Beyond the transmission, the 2020 model suffers from beta tester syndrome. The electronics were incredibly buggy. A widespread issue involves the backup camera. You put the car in reverse, and instead of seeing what's behind you, you get a solid blue screen or a frozen image. This is a safety hazard that led to a massive recall, but we still see reports of it recurring even after the fix. Furthermore, the build quality on the 2020s is notably worse than the 2021s and onward. We see reports of excessive wind noise due to poor window seals, trim pieces that rattle or fall off, and paint defects from the factory. The 2020 Explorer has significantly more recalls than the years that followed, proving that it was essentially unfinished when it left the assembly line. Now, you might be thinking, okay, I'll just buy a 2021 or a 2022 and be safe. While those years are certainly better than 2020, they are not immune to the platform's systemic flaws. The most terrifying issue affecting 2020 through 2022 models, and even some 2023 models, involves the rear axle mounting bolt. The Explorer is rear-wheel drive biased, meaning a lot of torque is sent to the back wheels. Ford discovered that the mounting bolt for the rear differential subframe can fatigue and fracture. If this bolt snaps while you are accelerating, the rear differential can shift out of place, causing the drive shaft to disconnect. If the drive shaft disconnects, you lose motive power immediately. But worse, if you park the car without applying the electronic parking brake, the vehicle can roll away because the transmission creates a park lock through that drive shaft. Ford has issued recalls for this, updating the bushing and bolt design and software to engage the parking brake automatically. But it is a major mechanical weak point you need to check. Next, we have to talk about the engines. The most popular engine is the 2.3-liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder. While generally a stout engine, we have seen a rise in reports regarding coolant consumption. This isn't always the catastrophic water pump failure of the old V6s, but rather issues with the EGR coolers, and in some cases, head gasket breaches or block porosity. If you are test driving a used Explorer, smell the exhaust on a cold start. If it smells sweet, like maple syrup, or if you see white smoke that doesn't go away, walk away. That engine is burning coolant. Finally, the technology gremlins persist through 2023. The Sync 3 and early Sync 4 systems in these cars are prone to freezing, lagging, or dropping Bluetooth connections. While not mechanical, these issues are frustrating. We also see reports of power window failures and random alarms going off due to faulty door latch sensors. These are the death by 1,000 cuts issues that ruin the ownership experience. This brings us to the present day. For the 2025 model year, Ford has introduced a significant refresh. They've reworked the front fascia and completely overhauled the interior, ditching the old infotainment for a new Google built-in system with a massive horizontal screen. However, Consumer Reports has already flagged the 2025 Explorer with a below-average predicted reliability score. Why? Because historically, heavy refreshes often introduce new bugs. The 2025 model already has 14 NHTSA recalls associated with it, or the immediate prior production run, covering everything from software glitches to loose fasteners. If you are buying new, you have the warranty to protect you. But if you are buying used, where is the sweet spot? The data suggests that the late 2022 and 2023 models are currently the safest bet. By late 2022, the transmission programming was largely sorted, the assembly plant quality had stabilized, and the worst of the launch defects were resolved. You get the modern platform without the 2020 headaches. The 6th-generation Ford Explorer is a capable, spacious, and good-looking SUV, but it requires a very careful buyer. To summarize, avoid the 2020 model year at all costs. The transmission risks and build quality issues simply aren't worth the discount. If you are shopping for this generation, target a 2022 or 2023 model and ensure the recall work regarding the rear axle bolt and the backup camera has been completed. Always get a pre-purchase inspection, paying special attention to the transmission shifting and any signs of coolant leaks. If this deep dive saved you from a bad investment, please hit that like button and subscribe for more no-nonsense car buying advice. Thanks for watching, and drive safe.